One is a grown man with an encyclopedic knowledge of cinema. The other, a man-child raised by the more questionable corners of the internet. What happens when they each dive into something the other one loves? Find out on
The Man with No Brain.
All right. So, Joe, whatever you got in your skull, I guess, introduce that.
Okay. Hello, folks, and welcome to another episode of The Man with No Brain. Today we're going to...
Wait. This is going to be combined, more than likely.
Just
Just
that's
introduce
right.
Ryan's part of the episode.
Okay. No, you're right. I was still thinking it was two separate episodes.
Hey, it's a different day.
Okay. All right, everybody. So now that we had fun diving into my brain, I'd like to take a look at Mr. Ryan Matthew Ziegler's skull. Yeah,
right.
How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing good, Joe. How are you feeling?
No, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so you began your film experience pretty early on. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of people, I grew up watching movies all the time and loving movies and wanting to make movies, and being raised in the Illinois Valley, there were nobody making movies. So at a very, very early age, I didn't understand the concept of directing and writing. And I did, when you're 8, 9 years old, you're watching movies, most people probably aren't thinking about that aspect of it. But I knew that they were actors. I knew that there were people in them. So at an early age, I decided, hey, I want to be one of those people. So that's what got me into acting, and which meant I had to do plays because, like I said, there was nobody making movies. But I was always focused on wanting to make movies and reading about movies. And then my parents eventually got, from QVC, they got a camcorder, with the idea of we're going to record family events and everything, because my uncle had been an early adopter of that in the late 80s. I remember he had a camcorder, and he used to actually take it to somebody who would take our videos at Christmas time and add background music to it. It would be slow motion, and everybody would love it. Everyone loved it. So
yeah, I mean, normally in the family, it was like an uncle who brought over the video camera. They always had like expendable money, I guess, because they didn't have kids of their own. So.
Well, no, my uncle did. He had 3, at that time, 2 boys. But he was into that. He had like the first big screen TV. It was a big fake wooden block. Just a big block right in your room. Big screen TV. So he had one of those. He had a VCR early on. Yeah, so he was always an early adopter of entertainment stuff like that.
Yeah, my Uncle Mick had a big plasma screen.
Oh, yeah.
He was one of the first to get that.
So I got that video camera, and eventually I was able to, after the newness wore off, and my parents kind of didn't care about it anymore, then it kind of became mine. And I started using that to make music videos. I didn't have any way to edit. So I didn't have, you hear about like M. Night Shyamalan and these guys that would, in the VHS era, they had 2 VCRs and they would edit them and they would put them together.
Swap and shop them, basically.
Yeah, well, we didn't have 2 VCRs. We only had the one. And
and they were expensive. You couldn't go buy another one at a pawn shop for like $35.
Yeah, and so I didn't know I had no means of editing any of this stuff. So if I made something, it had to be in camera. The one feature on the camera that it did have was it had a dubbing feature. So you could, you'd shoot something, then you could, look through the viewfinder, click it over to watch, rewind it in through the viewfinder. I mean, this was a viewfinder. Like this wasn't one of the where you pulled out the side screen even. This was an on-your-shoulder 90s camcorder.
Well, yeah, a big 80-pound block that you stuck VHS tapes into.
Yeah, and it had the battery that didn't hold a whole lot of time on it. You might get 45 minutes of time on it if you were lucky.
Yep, you got to plug into the wall.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you had a separate charger and everything. So you could rewind it, and then if you hit the dub button, you could then record whatever you wanted over the footage.
Nice. Yeah, get some good audio.
But like a video or like an audio cassette, though, you were effectively erasing the initial audio. So if you had to make sure you wanted the dub and because there was no going back. And so because of that, I figured out I could do music videos, because then it was just images. And then at the end of it, I would time out, how long the song was and what I wanted. And then I could make a music video. So I made music videos for like Violent Femme songs and Nirvana songs and just,
The Grinch Who Stole Christmas,
just weird stuff. But eventually, my senior year, I wanted to make a feature film. I was like, I'm going to make a movie, And I had made some friends in high school. Actually, they were people I already knew, but I found out through detentions because they were kids I was in detention with. I found out that they were actually into movies. Like they were into I had gotten into the Coen brothers and Tarantino and Kevin Smith, and that mid-90s explosion, American independent cinema and everything.
Oh, yeah, the 90s auteur kind of like explosion that happened.
Yeah, and so I kind of made some friends that were like, hey, I'd make a movie this summer, or I'd work on it. And I was like, okay. So I finally had a group of people that were into this. So I wrote this screenplay, this feature-length screenplay. It's called Tough Guys. It's basically about these thieves, and they end up going to rob a place, and the place doesn't end up having what they thought was supposed to be there, so they kidnap a guy working there, and then there's double crossing, and it all ends in a big Reservoir Dogs style bloodbath where almost everybody dies. Total knockoff. At one point, a character even calls another character a Reservoir Dog. It's an absolute knockoff Tarantino, but I was still pretty proud of it because it was feature length and had a lot of characters, and so that summer, it was the summer after I graduated high school. It was right before I was going to move to the Quad Cities and do radio and whatnot. I, set out the entire summer was going to be dedicated to me making this movie. And the problem is, like I said, I had to edit everything in camera, or, I had to shoot it in sequence. There's no editing, one take, which was a nightmare. Because nobody memorized lines.
No, you had a bunch of Buckleys running around the set.
I had people that got haircuts halfway through the movie. I'll never forget my friend Tom showed up to do his scenes, and he had gotten into biking that year, and he showed up to my house in complete head-to-toe spandex and a helmet, and I said, all right, well, that's fine. Where's your costume? And he's, what costume? And I was like, I can't shoot your character who's supposed to be an office employee who gets kidnapped. Why would you be sitting there in spandex from head to toe?
Well, he changed. He wet his pants and changed.
He was also the guy that got a haircut halfway through the movie.
Yep, some people don't care about continuity.
So, I eventually got to a point where the only way I could shoot long scenes of dialogue, which I had tons of, was the camera would focus on the person not talking, which would allow the other actor to read the line. And then I would cut to the next person, you know what I mean? So you saw the shots of all these people, and all they were reaction shots to dialogue being read off camera, because that was the only way I could do it and have people still be able to get the dialogue.
Yep. What you could have done is put like a big cue card like right on top of like the camcorder, like right above it, and they would just be staring into the camcorder and like reading off it.
Yeah. So I couldn't, but that wouldn't have even worked.
Okay, yeah, they were a bit slow readers, the detention boys.
But so eventually, though, the movie got made. It ended up being, it was a 90-page script. It ended up being a 48-hour or 48-minute movie.
Yeah, 48-hour movie. Those are good.
But I'll tell you this. I was still very proud of it when it was all said and done. I had actually made a movie. There was a beginning, middle, and end, top to bottom, opening credits, end credits, music, all kinds of stuff. And as awkward and as poorly made as it is, it was still a movie. I'd made a movie. I did what I set out to do. And
oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But the goal always was that, my main thing is I want to act, but my goal always was go to film school and learn about the stuff that I can't learn being, because I can do plays and I can do improv and I can hone my chops as an actor without being in movies, but I can't learn camera stuff if I don't have a camera. I can't.
Yeah, unless you want to spend like $10,000 on like that era, like lighting and camera and audio equipment.
Yeah,
you'd pretty much have to go to college.
And this is the early 2000s where there wasn't this explosion in digital video, at least not for.
No.
There weren't people making movies around every corner. So the idea was, well, I got to go to film school and then I'll learn stuff. I'll meet other people that are like me. And maybe, I could build this army. Like I wanted, like you hear these old stories of like Brian De Palma and Spielberg and John Milius and these guys, Robert Towne, all living together in the early 70s, Scorsese, and just making movies and stuff. And that was what I always wanted. I wanted like a movie family. And I wasn't going to meet that.
Well, Ryan, I'm sorry, I have to interrupt.
Yeah.
You got to go back. These initial features, what were the premieres like?
Oh, for Tough Guys?
Yeah.
No, there was no premiere. No,
you guys didn't even get together and watch around the big old tube TV?
Yeah, my friends came. The friends that worked on the movie came over and watched it, and they laughed. Okay. And were like, oh, that was cool, and that was it. That was that was the end.
Not like I can't wait to see it again.
No. Because again, the one or two people that were working on the movie that were big into film, they weren't into it as far as ever doing anything bigger than this. They just liked movies and they wanted to help on one. So they saw it and was like, that was a fun summer project. All right, see you around.
I'll never do it again.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna I'm gonna go put firecrackers next to toads this next summer.
Well, I should say 100% because my friend John, who was in that movie, he was in another short film I made the following summer. He ended up working on some of my short films that I made when I finally did go to film school, like 6-7 years later. So he was always still kind of in the peripheral, but it was never anything he wanted. It wasn't something he was pursuing.
Well, yeah, like a career or whatever for him.
Yeah. But he really liked movies, and he was like, oh, I'll help you in anything you ever want sometime. And he actually sent me a message when Butcher the Bakers came out and just saying how awesome it was to see it.
I see you hit the big time.
He's like, wow, a real movie. Well, I mean, we never expected to get the movie out anywhere. And so, all those years later to have something come out and be on Amazon, they, from their point of view, that was pretty cool.
It's definitely cool.
But yeah, there was no premiere or anything like that. I showed the movie, and then when I went to moved away, I had a roommate and a couple of friends there. I showed it to him, not impressed anyway. So
yeah, I remember. I have those memories. I made one movie before the real ones, and the core people think it's great, and anybody else that gets dragged to it, a lot of ex-boyfriends, and ex-girlfriends, are like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, and. What I like about it now is, and I haven't watched it in years, is now it's a time capsule because a lot of the places we shot, buildings we shot in, alleyways, they don't look like that anymore.
Yeah, they just became Arby's.
Yeah.
There's 8 Arby's in that town for some reason.
Well,
I can't believe it.
We shot this one whole sequence in front of this building that was since demolished. So it's kind of cool to go back and see this old, building that's no longer there anymore. And so for me, it's more of a time capsule to go back and look at it. But there are some bits in it that are funny. I still think to this day, there's some concepts I like in it that, but overall, it's nothing like when like kids now, 15-year-old kids now can make a movie that looks like a film. This wasn't that.
You can, you're almost at the point of being able to shoot on on an iPhone without a lens. I mean, these cameras on stuff are really, really good now.
Oh, absolutely. And if I had access to that back in 1997, it would have been an entirely new experience, Yeah. Because I could have shot, first of all, I could have shot, more than one take of anything.
Yeah, any order you wanted to. You could do anything you want. You can put an Ewok in the background if you want.
But that was my early experience making stuff. And then when I went to Columbia, that was when things really, started to work on a lot more projects. Obviously, because I was in film school, you're working on your students' projects that you're in class with. You're able to go on Craigslist and find other film schools, DePaul and everything in the area that were also needing actors. And so that was when I was able to start really working on a lot more stuff and meeting more people and really learning what it was like to make films and in a quote unquote real way.
Yeah, well, it would be like In Search Of, like person to make films with, non-sexual unless you want. That'd be the Craigslist ad.
Well, that was the thing, man. It was like, and that was a whole new world to me. Was the Craigslist actor world and
oh yeah, they're creepy.
Well, it's like you would go to Craigslist if you were an actor in Chicago, and I imagine any other city with film schools. You would go to Craigslist. You'd go to the area where there was like acting and whatnot, and you would just see tons of listings, but they were always Columbia shorts. They were always, you could always tell because it would be like silent film. We'll pay for your meal.
It's going to be in black and white, no sound, and we're just going to have text dialogue that explains what the actors are thinking.
Well, because that's what it was at Columbia was, and it's probably changed now, but when you started out in any discipline, it didn't matter if you were going to be a screenwriting major, editing major, you took core film classes. And production one, everybody made 2 short films, black and white film, 16 millimeter black and white reversal, and you used a Bolex camera. So you cranked it. You had maybe 20 seconds worth of footage you could get in that 20 seconds from the crank. Then you'd have to re-crank it.
Yep, and that crank cost you $35 worth of film.
Well, it
just
was
for that 30 seconds.
Yeah, it was very expensive. So you would get a roll of film that would have roughly a minute and a half worth of footage, but it wasn't really a minute and a half. You may be a minute and 15 seconds because the beginning of the roll and the end of the roll, that film would be no good, really. It
gets exposed to light and shit. I took black and white photography in college, so I kind of know about how to develop,
Yeah, so you really would get, a minute and 15 seconds. So, but everybody had to do that. So there was always dozens and dozens and dozens of listings on Craigslist looking for actors. and you always knew it was a Columbia College short because there'd be 30 listings for the same day. Okay, we're shooting August 5th, at 3 in the afternoon.
And the project
in Grant
is due
Park.
August 7th.
Well, because everybody was given, like you would start off, they call it the Grant Park project. So what you would do is there'd be one day where all the students in your class, you had 3 hours. Here's your one roll of film. Go out with your Bolex and make your 1 minute movie. And that was it. So, everybody be at Grant Park, and you'd have to make sure you weren't in other people's shots because everybody's in this area, shooting their 1 minute movie. And then,
here's what you do though. I know how to get an A right now.
How's that?
You go to the dog park section of it, and you just film like 2 dogs just fucking the shit out of each other, and you call it like S Terrible Beast Day. You
could have, man. I saw. Yeah. That's the thing is like you saw people making shit that didn't make sense at all. It would because everybody was coming in with a different sensibility. Me, I just wanted to make stuff that I liked and similar to my sensibility, which a lot was comedy, was genre stuff. But you had people there that wanted to legit make art films. They were guys you, Joe. They were guys that hated narrative and they hated this sort of stuff. Or you had guys that didn't give a shit about being a director. They wanted to be an editor. They wanted to be but they had to take that class, so they had to be a director at least for that class. So sometimes they'd be like, they would just want pretty pictures, but they didn't care about telling the story because you only had like a minute. So you saw stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm going to shoot my CRT TV of me playing Super Mario Bros. 3. It's going to be the first ever Let's Play in Columbia.
Well, if it would have been cut well together and it looked good, it was well exposed, you would have gotten an A. Because that was really all they cared about at that point was the building blocks of doing it. So you would shoot your movie. Of course, it's silent because it's on film. And then a week later, you get the footage back, and you'd hope to God it looked good because all you had was a light meter. It didn't matter looking through the viewfinder. What you saw wasn't necessarily what was getting captured. It didn't mean it was,
absolutely.
It didn't mean it was in focus. It didn't mean it was lit well because you had your
there could be like a little crack in your camera, and that would just let light into it and ruin your whole roll of film.
You're right. Or the Bolex, the spring in the Bolex was kind of old, and so you weren't necessarily, the crank wasn't necessarily getting you 24 frames per second. It might be a little bit faster. So it's capturing 26 frames a second, or it's actually capturing 22 frames a second. So
you get 37 frames a second. It looks like The Hobbit.
Yeah, everything's fast or slow. And that happened to me once too. Or you're shooting under lighting that you didn't realize on film is going to be all weird, like halogen lights, so it had a strobe effect. Yeah,
because that's the thing whenever I try to capture shit on camera is like lighting. Like my eyes see everything perfectly fine, but the camera just looks shitty and grainy, and you gotta go fuck with it.
Yeah, so you'd get the footage back, and you'd hope to God the raw footage looked good. So if that was half the battle, if it was exposed and properly exposed, you're like, all right. And then because it was reversal, so it wasn't a negative. So you could hold it up to the light, and you would see exactly the image. So that's how you would edit it. With a razor blade and splicing tape. And that's how you were supposed to edit your films in those classes, is you would have the little machine and you'd put you'd have the film on each side, and you'd run the film through and you'd look at it, and then you'd pull it out and you'd cut where you needed to cut, and then you'd put splicing tape, you'd put together some splicing tape. You'd have strips of film taped to the wall with your little note on it. Okay, this is the part where the guy grabs his ass, and this is the part where Joe Buckley pees his pants, or whatever you shot.
Yeah, whatever you shot.
That was every scene.
No, so, I was not the P boy of Columbia. I was never referred to as that. I was the good actor of Columbia.
I know you guys mentioned this earlier in the podcast, aka 2 days ago. But for those who are even remotely interested, just in what Ryan and Joe are talking about, just watch the is it 1997?
1999 American movie.
Yeah, 1999 American movie. It's a documentary about a filmmaker in Wisconsin, and it's heartwarming. It's hilarious. It's got a lot going for it, and it's all about what Ryan's talking about right here. Because I was just imagining that scene where he loses the 3 frames or something, and he's like, people don't go to the fucking movies to see this. They go to see this.
Exactly. I mean, that is so. And an American movie came out before I went to film school, and so when I watched it initially, I was like, "Oh, this is a great movie." It had a total different meaning for me after I went to Columbia because of those scenes. I totally understood that. That's a great example. Because he's using a Bolex. He's got more than one lens. We had one lens, but he's using a Bolex and the crank and everything, and he's shooting it in black and white reversal. It's exactly like that. So that's really what you did. And so I made 2 films in production 1 that were decent, I thought. I told a complete story with all 3 because that was my main goal always, because I saw a lot of students not doing that. They were just doing tone poems or whatever. And I was like, I want to tell a story with a beginning, middle, and end, even if I only have a minute.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'd like to just get some nice footage of my feet to show people in the class.
So I think
that sounds good.
The first short I made was called The Stranger. They're only shot in Grant Park. And basically it's about these 2 guys. They are playing Frisbee. And another guy, a nerdy, stereotypical nerdy guy, because again, there was no audio. So I wanted to make sure, costume wise, the idea was hit home. So you had these 2.
Oh yeah, he had a fanny pack, maybe 3D glasses.
Yeah. Total dork. I mean, total stereotypical dork, And so these 2, handsome dudes, are playing Frisbee, and this nerd wants to play. And so the one guy takes the Frisbee, throws it at the nerd, purposely hits him in the balls. And he falls down, and they laugh and they go back to playing Frisbee. Well, they go back to playing. One of the jocks throws the Frisbee too hard. It goes over his friend's head and lands at the feet of some guy. You don't see the guy, you just see his feet. Frisbee lands at some stranger's feet, and then within a second, boom, this big, duffel bag, ratty, full of holes, duffel bag lands right on top of the Frisbee. Cuts back to the guys. They're like, what's the deal, buddy? Goes back to the stranger with the duffel bag. He unzips the duffel bag. Big hand goes in, pulls out this massive Frisbee. Then the camera tilts upward, and you see it's just this big hulking guy. And he throws his Frisbee. It cuts off the head, cuts off the top of the one Frisbee guy's head. And then his friend sees it and is like, I'm out of here, runs away. The stranger who threw the Frisbee, the big hulking guy, zips up his bag, picks it up, walks away. And the nerd is happy and raises the roof and does a dance. And that was the end of that.
Yeah.
So my first movie, I was like, I feel I told a complete story. And I got I got some blood and guts in there.
Yeah, I understand the arc. It goes from, ow, my balls to, oh, my head.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It cut out there. So I just I heard from balls. And then when it came back, I heard Joe go, my head.
Oh, yeah.
But that was my thing, and the teacher liked it. I got a good grade, and so and then when you went on to production 2, it was the same sort of thing. You're shooting with Bolex camera, you are shooting on film, but it's color film this time, and you're going to do post sync sound, meaning if you don't know what that is, that means all the sound in the movie is recorded after the fact. You're not recording any sound on the day, which means no dialogue, but all the sound is going to be put in the movie afterwards. And that was the class where I made The Return of Joe Victory, which
I've seen that.
You've actually seen that one, Joe.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my 12-minute opus. It was supposed to be 6 minutes.
That. It was funny.
So the concept of the movie is, again, I wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel. I wasn't trying to make art films. I wanted to make shit that I liked, that made me laugh. And so I also like fight movies. I like movies like Bloodsport and Blood Fist and Kickboxer.
And Blood Fart.
Yeah. Blood cum. It's about a boxer who ejaculates every time he punches. So.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's a nasty image. But but I like fight movies like that. But I knew I couldn't make a fight movie. So I thought, well, what if I made a movie that was kind of like a love letter, if you will, to the 80s, and early 90s movies like that. But it was also my love of competitive eating and competitive eaters and the hot dog contests that happen every 4th of July, the Nathan's hot dog. So I made Return of Joe Victory, which is about a down on his luck guy who used to be a big champion in the taco eating community. Nobody was better than him, but his life's gone to hell. He, now hangs out with
he got too fat to eat the tacos.
Yeah, his whole life is like prostitutes and he gets one chance. He gets one chance at redemption, in this underground taco eating competition. And he goes up against the ultimate villain, this guy who used to kill, who's killed people in these competitions before. The standard, if you've seen any of those movies like Kickboxer and Bloodsport, kind of the standard story. But instead of fighting each other, it's a bunch of people shoving tacos in their face and ridiculous costumes. And the movie, we were supposed to not make a movie longer than 6 minutes. Mine was 12. Which I got dinged on.
It's just double. It's just double. Whatever.
I got dinged on by the teacher. He was not happy by it. He was very snarky that my movie's longer.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I like. I like making a teacher mad.
But he also didn't he was coming from a lot of the teachers at Columbia are also filmmakers themselves. And so some of the problems you would run into with that is they have an idea of what they like as filmmakers, what they think people should make. And if you're a student and you're just making a movie with tacos being shoved in faces and spitting tacos everywhere and trauma type of, audio stuff, and, they saw it as a trifle, a stupid little silly, trivial nothing. So that's kind of where my teacher felt I feel about Return of Joe Victory. But I will say I got the last laugh because the movie ended up being voted the best in the class, and it went on to like a secondary competition within the school, which it didn't go any farther than that. But I was just happy that everybody voted that it was their favorite film in my class.
Yeah, I mean, at least it got the screen twice. Everybody else only got the screen once.
Well, yeah, and I was very proud of it because it was a very Illinois Valley movie. I came back to the area to shoot it. I had all my friends in it. I had a lot of local, not celebrities, but local known people, bar owners, etc. There was some in-jokes in there. So I was very proud. Like, I was sitting there, at Columbia, surrounded by strangers, really, and they're up on the screen watching all my friends doing silly shit. And I was very, very proud of the movie at that point. And I still think it works. It tells a complete story. It's very, very, very rough. I had one day to shoot it on film. So, you're just hoping you get what you get. I didn't have time to do more than one take on that either.
Yeah, film is like a giant, giant pain in the ass. I'm so glad we moved away from actual film.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks better, but it's just such a giant expense and pain in the ass.
Well, I was so worried that the film wasn't coming out because you don't know. Again, you can do everything with the light meter and the lighting but you don't know until a week and a half later if you have anything. And if you don't have anything, you fail. You're done. It's over. The movie, you can't regroup. So there's the anxiety of that, the anxiety of I don't know if the shots that I'm composing are actually going to come out right. And so there's just so much of anxiety of that, and then the idea that the movie that I made, I needed to have 100 tacos. And so
it's very expensive.
Well, I called Taco Bell, and I beforehand when they opened up, it was a Saturday, they opened up and I said, at that point I thought I'd only need like 50 tacos. So I said, I'm going to need 50 tacos by like 1. Is that possible if I put it in order? And they're like, absolutely. So I went and it was fine. Got the 50 just regular hard shell tacos, As we were shooting, I realized we were going through a lot more tacos than I had anticipated with all the shots I was doing.
We're running low on the taco budget.
So my mom.
Hey, it's the taco guy again.
So my mother calls Taco Bell that afternoon and puts another order of another like 40 or 50 tacos. And we got them.
They just thought she was making a smush film.
Yeah, like, maybe this is some sort of weird taco fetish film, that's what it felt like at some point because people were covered in tacos. And Mr. Sean Walsh plays the villain in the movie, and I didn't know until after we shot that he doesn't like tacos. Yeah, when you watch that
Sean,
movie, when you watch that movie, you don't know it because Sean goes crazy. He's shoving tacos in his face. He didn't sell once that tacos make him sick. It wasn't until the next day that he told me that he can't stand tacos, and his mouth was all cut up from the shells.
Oh, yeah. No, as a man who likes to eat tacos, that is a big problem I have with them, is that I will go and eat 7 tacos and my mouth hurts after.
And something that also at the time where we shot the student film, we were given access to an old, no longer in operation nursing home that a friend of a friend's dad had bought for whatever reason. And so initially it was going to be no problem. We were going to shoot there. It was perfect. It had a chapel attached to it because I had written, which was great because there's a scene in the movie I'd written where the main character goes to like a broken down church and prays to Santa Claus because he doesn't know the difference between Santa and God. And so, so it was perfect. Well, it ended up falling through like a week before.
Yeah.
Like
sorry, you can't film here. We got old people living here.
Well, there's nobody living there. That's the thing.
I know.
But the father of the person found out. He didn't know we were going to use it, and he said, "No way." Well, we still ended up using it. So what happens? We shot that whole thing on the sly, and hoping that this guy didn't find out and walk in and shut it down. And we were able to get in and get out, and in like 3 hours,
Yeah.
And
They're gonna get taco shells on my ceiling fans.
well, then they were shooting that scene in the chapel, and there's like somebody getting a blowjob in the background of the movie, and which didn't turn out the way I wanted it to be. It was supposed to be out of focus, but we couldn't figure out how to do that with the Bolex, and so in the time. And the chapel was much nicer. In the script, it was supposed to be this broken down church that's not in operation anymore, where vagrants live. And the character, he doesn't know any better. It's kind of like that Travis Bickle thing, where in his mind, a porno theater is a movie theater.
It's a romantic date. Yeah.
So the Joe Victory character, in his mind, any old church is a church, even if it's a broken down church that people just use to,
make toilet in.
Yeah. So it doesn't. I don't think it works. I don't think it because the chapel looks beautiful. It's like why is this person?
It's like the 16th one, the 16th chapel.
And the reason the movie's called Return of Joe Victory is I didn't have a name for the character, and Sean's band had a song called Joe Victory Line of Freedom, which was about a local guy who did a lot of cocaine. And so the song already existed. So I asked Sean, I said, hey, can I name my character Joe Victory and then in turn use your song? And then boom, automatic production value. I've got a theme song for my movie.
Yeah, free song.
And
Ka-ching.
And he was like, hell yeah.
Joe Victory Line of Freedom.
Yep. The song about a guy coming out of a bathroom with cocaine in his mustache ended up becoming the theme song.
Well, hey, nothing wrong with a little snow in your beard. Hey, Santa Claus has to deal with that, let me tell you.
But, it's messy and it's sloppy, but it's for everything I had to get done in a short period of time, I'm still pretty proud of that one.
Yeah, I think it holds up. It's pretty good.
I think my sense of humor comes through. I think if you know me and you watch it, you're like, oh, yeah. You can tell who made it, and that's a big part of the auteur theory, so I liked that. And but you watched it, Joe. So what'd you think? Knowing what you know about it, that it wasn't, a real movie. What'd you think?
Yeah, no. I think it holds up. I think it's got some funny scenes in it. Like the taco eating's real funny. People managed to kind of go balls to the walls on that. So yeah, I think you should check it out on YouTube, people.
Yeah, you can search Return of Joe Victory. It should pop up. I don't think there's anything else called that, but
yeah,
I put it on YouTube just for my friends to be able to watch it. Is really. It was never something that I was like, oh, I'm going to put this in festivals and take this out, please. No, it's a mess. It's a clunky student film, but it's up there so my friends and people that were involved in the movie could see it. So
yeah,
and that's the same reason I do this big credit sequence at the end. That was
just to throw in everybody.
Yeah, that was for the people. That was my thank you. It was everybody got to have a fun, title credit moment. My teacher I think felt that was. It was too long, and why did you do this whole credit sequence? And that was for my friends that did it. I wanted to give them names. I wanted them to get a funny screenshot. That was the way I said thank you to everybody. It was giving them that moment. And so
did the grade you got? It just said like D- overindulgent.
It was. I got a good grade on it overall because he judged it by
pretentious.
Well, no, the most pretentious, comedy about blowjobs and tacos ever made. But, no, I ended up getting a good grade on it overall, but he did take me aside and told me that it was too long, and I was annoyed by that. And I remember saying, well, Lord of the Rings is like 15 hours, bro. That was my response to him, and that was the last thing I ever said to that guy.
Do you think is there any chance that the rule of it has to be 5 or 7 minutes or whatever you said. Do you think that's more like... Because I could almost see somebody trying to be like, okay, there's constraints out there in the world that you don't see in face right now because you have access to all of our film equipment, all this shit.
Yeah.
So your constraint is that you've got an audience that only has an attention span of 7 minutes. And so it's basically just trying to teach you to work with what you've got and what you can. But Mr. Ryan Matthew Ziegler managed to scrape together some extra frames to double that runtime.
Yeah. Well, I believe he just doesn't want to. Yeah. He just doesn't want to sit through 30, 20-minute student films. That's probably it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's not a lazy teacher.
They're probably not wrong there because there was probably just trying to keep people a combination of that. One is because you also you had limited resources. So if you're editing a 15-minute movie as opposed to a 5-minute movie, that's less time you're going to have to because you had to edit, you had to make appointments. There weren't enough for a school that charges as much as it does.
They had 3 machines to edit on.
Well, there was more than that, but there was not enough. There was not enough cameras. There was not enough light kits. There was not enough editing computers. So you had to make an appointment. And so partly I think that it was that they're like, shorter the film, it's going to take less time for people to get it done, because everybody also would you would edit in your own sound, but they let you sit with one of the sound designer, one of the more farther down the line, third or fourth year or whatever, sound design students, and they would sit and sweeten it for you. And I remember sitting with a kid, and he really enjoyed the movie. That made me feel real good, because he actually put in more time with me than he had been doing with other people, because he enjoyed it. And I think it was one of those things where he was seeing a lot of, like, there at that time, Hostel had come out, and there were a lot of torture kids. People were making a lot of torture porn movies. They were making a lot of sad art films.
I'm making a 5-minute August Underground.
I don't know how many movies ended with suicide. There was just a dearth of that sort of thing, and a lot of zombie stuff. But I like to think this guy was like, I don't know what the fuck this movie is, but I see something I haven't seen yet. So
at least it's different.
I will take some time with you. So that kid was really cool. We spent like a good 2 hours sweetening the sounds on it, but I'm sure that was part of it. Is also, though, there needs, you need to be able to tell a story and can be constrained. But having said that, they also said we were because you were given rolls of film. So every student got maybe 3 rolls of film for that final project. And they said you were allowed to buy one more if you wanted. So I went down to Chicago Camera and bought another, one more roll of film, So technically, I was given so much film to make a 12 or 13-minute thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he did compliment me. He said the movie tells a story. He's like, there's 3 acts here. There's a beginning, middle, and end. You've built a backstory. I mean, that's, and all without dialogue. I mean, I had voiceover, because everybody had voiceover for the most part. Because that was one thing you could do with posting sound and tell your story without dialogue. On the days, you could write, voiceover. So of course I did the voiceover for the character. And I did voiceover for most of the characters. And so, I mean, I get his point, but at the same time, I was like, dude, come on.
Suck a fart. Yeah, suck a fart, Mr. Principal.
Yeah, I'm going to go skateboard my way down to the quad and tell all the other students about what a phony baloney you are.
So if I tell you this, had he had that attitude and the movie had not gotten chosen as the favorite of the film or favorite of the class, I would have felt worse. At that point, though, when he told me all that, it had already been voted best in the class, so I didn't give a shit. I was on cloud 9. I felt like he was like the studio, and that was the audience. I make movies for the audience, bro. The audience loved it, so it was kind of that moment. But yeah, that was a good time making that movie, and that's the last thing I've directed.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, I am more. I want to act. That's my main thing. But someday, I'd like to direct something again, a short film or something down the road. But that's not like a major goal for me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Just let me know, and I'll drive down to Indiana.
Well, the thing with short films is that they really rely on having something unique. A take, a concept, playing with some convention. And so it's really hard to succinctly get that down to where it's like, I want to spend, because some people spend like tens of thousands of dollars on short films.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the amount of money that we've spent on feature films.
Yeah.
And it's like, because like they really believe in the concept, and hey, short films do get made into feature films sometimes.
Yeah.
I know Lights Out did it. Basket did it recently.
Saw.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes, it was.
Short film. When you watch it, it feels like a short student film. I mean, it's polished. It's basically, I think that's like the first 20 minutes of Saw, of the movie. The feature film is what the short film is, and then the ending. But it was a short film that they made with the idea of hopefully being able to get this financed and made into a feature. But yeah, but again, that was a different time. That you didn't have YouTube, you didn't have all these places where people could make short films and put them up there. It was still, in the early 2000s, if you're making a short film, it was still something, there were entire festivals dedicated to short films. So it was, I think now the idea of hoping your short film turns into a feature, that by itself is probably a long shot. Now, using a short film as proof of concept is pretty normal now when you go to pitch something.
Neil Blomkamp, I believe that's his name.
Boy.
He was doing, well, I don't know. He's Australian or something. I don't know.
I don't know. He made Elysium and he made Chappie.
Yeah. No, I love District 9, but he's been doing a shitload of short films that he's just been releasing as proof of concept things, and they've been really good. He did like Zygote and Firewatch, I believe, is
Oat Studios.
Yes.
Oat Studios.
Okay.
Is Zygote the one with the giant amalgamation creature?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
that's the best one, yeah.
Yeah.
But he did that because, famously, his career started hurtling downwards. I don't think the films he made were terrible.
I liked Chappie. I thought that was fine. I haven't seen
that's his worst rated one.
That's his last one, too.
Yeah, but then it looked like he was coming back with that Aliens.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a direct sequel to Alien.
Yeah, it was going to have everybody back. Everybody.
Scott
Michael
took
Payne.
it. Fuck Ridley Scott, man.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but he fucking blew it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Neil Blomkamp's career has always been based on. We got District 9 because Halo fell apart. He was hired by Peter Jackson and those guys to make a Halo movie, and it fell apart in development. So Peter Jackson was, well, you got anything on your own? He's like, well, yeah, I've got this District 9 concept. And District 9 was my favorite movie of 2009. I adore that film. At least him and Chappie are what they are. They're not bad, but I don't think he has yet to really fulfill the promise he made from District 9. I still think that's one of the greatest debut films I've ever seen.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe he'll get something else.
And he's a young guy. So, it's not like, he's like, 75 years old and maybe I have one more movie. And he's got plenty of time. I just hope he gets the right people behind him and he makes,
he does kind of like hard shi-fi with original concepts. So it's like, that's a really, really hard sell in like the blockbuster age.
Oh yeah. And Chappie, there's a lot I love about Chappie. There's a lot that makes it hard on the third and fourth watch.
I remember liking it, but I can't remember too much about it.
Yeah, so.
Well, if you don't buy into the characters, you're kind of out.
Yeah,
essentially.
Those leads, man. I know they're the
D Ontward.
Yeah,
it's
if you're
like
a fan
a band
of those
over
guys, you're going to like the movie a lot more. If you're not, I don't know. That was my thing that I wasn't familiar with. I knew who they were just through looking them up, but I'm not a fan of them or whatever their in their genre of music. So they didn't grow on me. They weren't, and so that was the thing. I hated those characters, so it was hard to spend a whole movie hanging out with them. But Chappie was great. I thought Chappie was great. Dev Patel, I loved his character. I loved seeing Hugh Grant, or Hugh Grant. They should have put Hugh Grant in the role. No, Hugh Jackman playing a bad guy with a mullet. It was fun to see that. So.
Yeah.
And I own it. I own it.
Joe just got sleepy.
No, I'm trying to think of how to move the podcast forward.
Well, yeah, we're an hour in and we haven't even hit Ryan's acting.
So, this leads into the Lost film, if you will, High Society.
Bum bum bum.
Oh.
So,
and not a movie prequel to the series Lost.
yes, it's a whole movie about Lost. It's just about one character, and it's just about it was a character who died early on in the film. After the plane wrecked, he was lost though, and he got eaten by a boar 20 minutes in.
Yep. Yeah. Well, he ended up in a tree, and he was just eating coconuts up there the whole series.
He just rotted away up there, urine looping and eating his own poop.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember that. He would just like open up his mouth to the sky, hoping that the rain gods bless him that day.
But so after Joe Victory, Batman. Okay, so this is how it goes into that. So, the semester I was making Joe Victory, I was also in an acting for directors class, and I made a lot of friends there. And it was a class that everybody that was a directing major had to take one acting class, and so they developed this class specifically for directors. So as you can understand, most of these guys were not interested in acting or of any kind, had never done acting, and it was a big goofy class. We just had a lot of fun. But it was in that class that I met a guy named Christopher Schrader, and we got along real well. We rode the train a couple of times together, and we had a lot in common. And but I thought that was that. We'll be friends and friendly. Semester's over, and that's that. Well, then I got an email from him that summer saying, "Hey, man, you actually were pretty good in those scenes that we did in class. I'm making a fan film this summer, and it's not a big role. It's just one of the bad guys, one of the thugs. But if you would like to do it, I'd love to have you." And I said, "Absolutely, man, sure." And we end up spending the summer of 2007 running around Chicago at the same time as they were making Dark Knight, making our Batman movie. And it was called Batman Black and White. And it's a feature-length Batman fan film made with technology from 2007, which again is light years different than now. But at the same time, it was a real movie. Like we had crew, and we didn't shoot it in, like a real movie in a couple of weeks. It was shot on weekends and stuff, but it was, we had makeup effects and real actors came in. And I mean, it was my first time working on as close to a real movie as I had at that point. Because everything before then had been my stuff, student films. But this felt like a bigger thing because you had Chicago-trained theater actors who are treating this like, any old job. So I was excited to actually act with other people who were professional film actors. And, people had done training at Goodman Theater and stuff.
Well, and, fan films are rare back then. I mean, now they're all over the place. But back in, the mid-2000s, you really only had, maybe a couple Star Wars fan films. Yeah. Whenever those kids remade, Raiders of the Lost Ark, that was around in VHS circles. But fan films are not, a huge thing.
No, and I'll be honest, when he first told me, because he'd graduated, and this was going to be his first movie right out of school, and when he told me that he was making a Batman fan film, I'll be honest, I thought to myself, why?
Yeah.
If you've got the money now saved up and you've got crew and you've got an opportunity to make a feature film right out of film school, why are you making something that you can't do anything with? But what I didn't understand at the time is what you were just saying, Joe, that fan films were still something that people were seeking out because there wasn't a ton of them.
Absolutely.
And if it comes out and it's good, people are like, okay, I like this guy. And then when you put out your original film, your next project, you're going to have you at least have eyes on. You've got some eyes that are looking forward to your original project because they liked what you did with the fan film.
Yes. Because if he just made a film called The Caped Vigilante and it had nothing to do with Batman, I mean, nobody would know to look it up or what it would be about. Or
did you say Buttman?
No, I did not want to see a film named Buttman.
He just wants a movie which is about butts. It's just about a guy sniffing butts, grabbing butts. The guy injects his own butt, makes it swollen up. He likes what he puts steroids in his butt.
Body horror.
Yeah.
No, it would be a man spreading his ass up to a microphone and just letting the whole speak into it. And the movie would be called Our Current Government.
You have made that joke more than once on this podcast.
I may have. I don't know. Because there's just a bunch of butts in office.
I know.
There's a lot of butts wiggling around.
Yeah. So anyway,
bunch of butt heads.
We made the movie and it was a great time and had a great experience on it. And I was very pleased with how it came out. It's weird because and hence I've been involved in other movies. You know what you're doing in your life when you're making the movie. For example, when I was making Batman, I was in the midst of a really bad breakup. And when I go back and watch that movie, I don't see anything but I was like, oh God, that day was really bad. I made a mixtape and she didn't care. I was so that was my first instance with that. So now I do it all the time when I watch films, even Butcher the Bakers, I watch scenes and I'm like, oh, that's great. But I'm remembering what I was going through personally at that time, maybe what I ate that day. I'm flooded with memories. It's almost like these movies become living, picture
paintings or something,
and so, but yeah, so I personally was going through some tough stuff making Batman Black and White, but the movie ended up doing really, it went well. It went on. There was some Batman, this whole world I didn't know about, the whole Batman fan film world, and it was on forums, and that was also my first taste at being critiqued for acting online because and I fared okay. A lot of people weren't really talking about me because the character wasn't that big, so the actor.
Yeah, you get killed off about 30 minutes in, I think.
Yeah. So I get to be this really scumbag character. I got to improvise a lot, which was fun. I'm just a real bad guy. And so, but there were some critiques, but the actor who played Batman, he got really bad critiques. He got some really bad.
They said he was wooden.
People were really harsh on him to the point where I remember him saying, years later that he almost quit acting because of it. Because it was his first instance of that.
Well, I didn't really notice
anything.
And
that man is Bradley Cooper today.
Exactly. Well, the funny thing, you referenced Bradley Cooper. There's a Bradley Cooper connection to Batman Black and White in the opening scene. There's some bad guys, and they're basically waiting in line to have sex.
Yeah, have necrophilic sex for $50.
Yeah.
Jesus, Joe.
That's how the movie
Well,
starts.
I'm just saying, that was in the movie.
And,
that's the actual plot?
Yes, that's the actual plot.
Oh, shit, I haven't watched that in 4 years. I guess I'm a bit behind.
It starts with a bunch of guys, and they're waiting to have sex with a corpse in the back of a car. And the I don't know, the word's escaping me.
I'm gonna eat its butt.
Yeah. I'm gonna have oral sex with this corpse.
Oh, what the hell do you call the guy? Not a taxidermy guy.
A pimp?
No, the
mortician.
The mortician, yeah.
Oh.
I couldn't think of the word. It's the mortician is looking at his watch. He's like, "You got 30 minutes. Come on, guys." And that's how the movie starts. And then all those guys are attacked.
I'm surprised they can last 30 minutes.
Well, come on. There's like 5 guys. The whole 30 minutes for the whole thing. And
okay.
Anyway, one of the actors who's telling a joke when the movie opens, that actor's gone on to be in moved to LA. He's done all kinds of major stuff. And in the movie American Sniper, if you ever watch that, there's this whole sequence where Brad.
Joe, hold on a second. Joe, why did you just go, when he mentioned the movie American Sniper?
I know of that movie. I've heard the title, so that's good that he got a role in a big movie. That's right.
The movie's fine. It's
no, but Joe, it's like that's like the perfect example of you passively listening. American Sniper.
No, I know of that. I'm just acknowledging what Ryan said. I'm giving a vocal cues to let him continue his story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen to Joe. But yeah, so there's a big scene in the middle of the movie, dramatic scene where Bradley Cooper ends up fighting with this. I don't know what the group of people is, but it's. I'm watching the movie in the theater. I had no idea this guy from Batman was in this movie. I knew he was out in LA and he'd done Pretty Little Liars and he'd been doing some stuff out there. I had no idea he was in this movie, so I'm sitting there and I'm like, that guy looks really familiar to me. And he's got this big part and he's fighting Bradley Cooper and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, I was like, wait a minute, that's a dude from Batman. I was like blown away. And
he's the Cape Crusader.
I waited for the credits. I was like, holy shit, the dude from Batman Black and White is on screen fighting Bradley Cooper in this big Clint Eastwood movie. How kick-ass is that?
Yeah, that's good.
So there is a Bradley Cooper connection to Batman Black and White. So that's fun. That's fun.
Yeah, I thought it was like a pretty interesting kind of movie. I thought it went on a little bit long, but I enjoyed it.
It was an interesting kind of movie.
Yeah, well, it's a fan film, so it's technically
It has plenty of flaws, and they were making it on weekends, and
yeah, they didn't shoot it open mat, so I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and overall,
wait, is that a joke, Joe?
No, I enjoy open mat. I think it's an interesting format. Yeah,
he loves shooting open mat. He loves the idea of open mat.
It's very interesting because it gives you a lot more headroom. I find that interesting in the composition.
So why don't you go to the IMAX a lot then?
I don't think there is one around here.
Well, I mean, yeah, you'd have to go to like Chicago or I don't know where the nearest one is.
I think Helltime.
I've been looking in forums and like some open mat versions of movies have been leaking on on Cinemax and like HBO and shit. So I've been watching some of those.
Well, chances are, Joe, you've seen many movies open mat and you didn't realize it if you watched them on VHS or home video.
Yeah.
Movies would be, they shot it open mat, but they framed it in their minds for 235-1 or whatever. But then when it went to VHS,
you would do 4x3. Yeah.
Yeah, they use the open mat to open the tops and the bottoms.
That way you won't have to pan and scan it.
Reservoir Dogs is one of those.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's why Dolomite, you used to watch it all the time, renting it. You'd laugh because there are boom mics in every shot. But then you find out that was because of the open mat.
Yeah, they cropped it in the original theatrical.
So it wasn't the filmmakers being inept.
Yeah,
it was actually the open mat, which kind of took the luster away from the movie because I liked the idea that they were just like, whatever, like fuck it. But in reality, once you see the Blu-ray and you see it framed correctly, theatrical exhibition, you see that there's nowhere near as many boom mics.
Okay, maybe a couple though. Maybe like a boom mic accidentally hits one of the main characters' heads or something.
You never know.
Yeah.
Oh, it hit my pee-pee.
Oh, the boom mic got up my pee-pee. Yeah, my pee-pee hurts.
Sorry, Ryan.
Oh, my pee-pee hurts.
No, because God damn it, I love the pee-pee hurts thing.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a funny little in-joke.
But we did Batman Black and White, and that was a great experience. And then the following year, talking about going on Craigslist, it was either Craigslist or Facebook. I saw somebody that had been at Columbia, had made a short film that got a lot of attention, had won some awards, was going to make a feature film, and they were looking for people to audition. So I reached out to the people and I said, where's the audition? When is it? And I went there and I auditioned. It was for a comedy called High Society. It was going to be a story comedy. They said there was going to be a lot of room to improvise. And I was like, this sounds great. So I went and I auditioned and I got the part. And I was real excited because, like I said, this guy who made the movie was getting a lot of heat, as somebody to watch. And, he was like, I'm going to be going to LA. And I want to make a movie that I can bring to LA as my calling card. So I'm like, hell yeah. This is going to be your calling card. It's going to be my calling card.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Clerks came out like a decade ago. So maybe it's time for the new Clerks.
Well, I mean, again, like I said, there wasn't a ton of people making films all the time.
No. You had to have some money in the bank at the very least to be able to make.
This was 2008, actually. So, so we went and I started working on this movie. And these guys were big into the tech. Like they had these cameras and they had at the time state of the art stuff. And so I was like, these guys are serious. They were doing test footage. They were shooting all this test footage. So I was like, these guys want to make a great movie. That's cool. The script, however, was not so good. The storyline was three guys from the Quad Cities, because that's where the director was originally from. My character, the lead character, goes on a bender. Goes on a drunken party. His friend, he remembers his friend getting hurt. He wakes up the next morning. He can't find his friend. He's eventually blackmailed. It's a lot of.
It sounds a little bit like The Hangover.
Well, yeah, it's interestingly, which came out a couple years later. But there's a lot of people are lying to each other, and this guy thinks this is real, and long story short, the guy thinks that his friend is dead. He thinks it's been seen, even though he can't remember doing it. He's blackmailed by a guy who says, "I know you killed your friend, but I won't tell anybody if you go to Chicago and you get me a kilo of cocaine," because he's living with these girls that likes cocaine. So my character grabs a bunch of his friends, and we're going to Chicago, even though we've never been there before. We're a bunch of dumb Midwest kids going to Chicago, and we're going to get a kilo of coke, and a bunch of adventures and craziness ensue. I liked the concept, but the script was not funny. It had funny setups that could really be funny, but the dialogue was not funny. In particular, my character was always asking questions. A lot of my dialogue was asking questions to get exposition.
Hey, guys, what's my line?
Hey, dude, what if we turn this couch into a bong?
Why did you bring that? Oh, why did that happen? Oh, what?
Why's your penis out?
Yeah, so this person could tell me a story. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's just, that's not good. No. But I was assured, you're going to be allowed to improvise. So me and myself and some of the other actors, many of which came from Improv Olympics, so they were trained to do improvisation. And they were very funny guys. We got along really well off camera. We all realized that we were not going to be allowed to do much improvisation.
Yeah.
They had one camera, and he said he couldn't do it very easily with one camera, which I understand. But I thought, well, could we improvise in rehearsal and then remember the bits? And then basically, can we rewrite the scenes and make them funnier? Because I think we as a group are funnier than what's on the page. They're like, no.
Yeah, so we have to stick to the script.
What was the budget, Ryan?
I would say, in the thousands.
Like over 10?
I mean, if they were using really good cameras, maybe $50,000.
The thing is, I don't know whether I count their equipment as part of the budget because they already had it.
I mean, I think it would be fair to just for some context, just to understand where they're coming from.
Probably 15,000, maybe.
Okay, yeah. I mean, so back then, that's probably like what, 22, 23?
25, yeah.
No penis, Ryan.
No balls either.
And this to be.
You were gone, and we were singing about you having no balls.
Oh, okay. Well, sing it again so I can hear it.
Ryan doesn't have a penis.
No penis, Ryan.
I do. It's just not attached to me.
Oh, okay. It's like in a little box?
No, it's my sugar daddy's.
Oh.
Anyway.
Ow. So, what's a sugar daddy?
No, I know. No, it's a big stick of gum that you chew. It's a candy. It's a festive candy from back in the day.
It's not gum.
It is. Yeah. I misspoke.
Have you ever had a sugar daddy?
I have. I liked them.
I bet you. Say that again.
I like sugar. Folks, I like sugar daddies.
Bill Buckley likes his sugar daddy.
I like my sugar daddy. I kiss. I suck on my sugar daddy.
Suck my sugar daddy.
Yeah. I suck my sugar daddy until he liquefies in my mouth.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah, he makes liquid in my mouth.
Let Ryan keep going.
Okay.
This episode's going to be 20 hours.
Okay.
So we're making the movie, and there started to be some growing frustration amongst some of the other actors, not amongst ourselves, but with the director and the way things were going. And there's also a lot of weed on set. These guys loved weed. I mean, the movie's about drugs.
Hell yeah.
And so sometimes things were slow moving.
A little smoky in the area.
Things would move slowly. And it's like, geez, let's just get the shots.
No, come on. Let's just sit on the couch for a bit longer.
Well, at one point in the movie, okay, so there's a scene where my character and these other guys, we go to Chicago. We're tipped off that we're going to go into this guy who's going to sell me a kilo of coke. So we knock on the door and go in, and it doesn't work, and it's awkward. Well, apparently the guy that was playing this kingpin that ends up not giving me anything, he was some friend of theirs, or he had made a bunch of money. He had created some sort of device that cleans bongs. So he had some sort of name recognition. I don't know. He had a nickname. I don't know.
Hey,
the bong man. Yeah. No, it's it's horrific to clean a bong. I've tried to clean mine like 4 times because my cousin smoked at it. I have a pipe. I have a glass hitter.
Oh, at first he thought I said bong, and he's talking about his own butt.
No, I know how to clean my bong.
It's hard to clean my own butt.
But no, like basically the resin builds up in the pipe, and you got to use hot water. Hot water, alcohol, and salt, like hard salt, and shake it a bunch. 20 minutes of shaking.
Hard salt?
Oh yeah, like rock salt. Yes,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm just telling you how to clean a bong if people out there want to know.
I appreciate it. Well, and that's why this guy was apparently rolling in the dough, because he had invented something that. Anyway, they wanted him in the movie because of that name recognition, but the guy wasn't an actor. But he was very abrasive, and at one point he asked me to speak up.
Can he speak up?
And I explained to everybody there. I was like, "You see this thing hanging over my head? It's a microphone. I don't need to project like it's a theater."
Yeah, they can hear me.
And anyway, it was a contentious relationship in the scene that I was shooting with him, because I also started improvising. And I'm talking over him, and he's confused because he's not an actor, and he's trying to do the lines, and I'm trying to make it funny, and he's yelling cut instead of the director.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they do that sometimes.
He's not saying the words on the paper.
And at one point he gets mad because his friends were all like hanging out in the apartment, and they would talk, and understandably, I appreciate that he understood this, but they'd be talking during the scene. And instead of the director saying, like, quiet on the set, he got mad. He screamed, "Shut up out there!
Shut your fucking high mouths!"
I think you scared Ryan.
I might have. Yeah, I might have scared him off the pod.
Oh, God, this episode's going to be so long.
Yeah.
So he screamed at these people. And then on top of that, my blood sugar got real low. And for some reason that summer I kept passing out. And I still...
You're not diabetic, are you?
No. And it never happened again. But I passed out like 3 different times that summer.
Weird. Yeah.
In different situations. And I almost passed out during that scene. And so I ate some of the fake cocaine, which was just powdered sugar.
Oh, yeah. You had something like around your mouth during the scene?
Yeah, I just was snorting it.
Yeah.
But it was an awkward scene to shoot. I was glad when we were done. I at that point I was annoyed with the whole project. Eventually we get all the photography done. Then I get a phone call saying, "Hey, the audio isn't good. We're going to need to redub." I said, "Okay." I said, "Okay, what scene?" He said, "The whole movie."
Yeah, we didn't check the audio before. We forgot to replace the AA batteries the mic.
Did you eventually get to the bottom of what the deal was there?
The audio was they had all the audio, but they said it wasn't good, and they said that the video looked so good. So visually this was their whole thing was visually it looks outstanding. We want the audio to match up with that. It looks good, but it sounds like shit. I understand that, but the whole movie, the entire we shot that movie over several months. At no point was the audio ever, I don't know.
I didn't look at the footage at all.
But every line of every actor had to be dubbed.
A big thing, I don't know if this was like an early start thing, career or whatever for this audio guy, but something I hear about frequently when people are first starting to understand the importance of audio on film is not having the levels high enough. Because I remember that being a thing for some stuff that I've done in the past, and I've heard that from many other people where it's like, you're hearing it, it's there, you've got it recorded, but the problem is that the gain is so low or something.
Yeah, it just sounds a bit mumbly.
When you bring it in, all you're hearing is all because you have to crank it up, all the static and all the shit around it.
Yeah,
it blows it out really bad.
That could have totally been.
Telling Michael that we have to go down to the pie store.
Or there was a Buckley that was right off camera just talking into it.
Yeah. Well,
I hate that I like that whispery Joe Buckley voice.
Yeah,
it always makes me laugh.
Yeah. Well, Joe Buckley's over to the side and he's saying, "Okay, so like I know I gotta get the slush, but I'm not sure if I want to get cherry or vanilla Coke."
Gotta be careful if you have too much cherry slush, you'll end up
red tongue.
Red butt.
Well, I accidentally ended up with blue tongue in some Butcher the Baker's. I remember.
Yes, you did. The whole speech that you give at the table, your tongue's blue that time.
I may have imbibed a little slush before it was time to film.
So anyway, we ended up having to redub the entire. So for months, the winter, I had to take the kids lived in the suburbs, and I would take the metro into the suburbs. We go to their little recording studio, and I'd have to redub all my lines. Actually, it wasn't as hard as I thought because I'm really good at mimicry. So what I would do is I would just they would play the audio in my headphones, and I would just recreate it exactly. And so therefore, it was real easy for them, for the most part, to sync it up, which was good in the long run. It didn't take me nearly as long as it did, some other people.
So,
anyway, they get the movie made. It's and they're like, all right, we're gonna have a big premiere. We're gonna have a premiere in the Quad Cities because that's where they're from. Then we're gonna have one in Chicago, and they did. We had 2 big premieres and 2 big theaters. And Sean came out, and all my friends came out, and roommates came out, and it was a big event. And both premieres was really cool. And the movie was about. The movie was what the script was, so I didn't think it was that great. But it looked really good, and it sounded pretty good. And I'm like, okay, cool. I suggested they call the movie The High Society because there was already a famous musical called High Society, and it's sort of a generic term. But I thought if you call it The High Society, it gave it a little something.
A little distinguished film about stoners.
And they that's what they called it. And then, all right, now we're going to take it to film festivals. And then I didn't hear anything about it. And then it's not on the internet. And then we each get like 1 or 2 DVDs of it, and that's it. And then, I'm not really that happy with it. I don't think we're going to probably take it out anywhere. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you just wasted $20,000 on all these people's time.
I was just I was like, but I mean, then what was the point of making it? So I was like, I'm done. I'm not going to do any more of this indie shit anymore. I'll just do plays, and if somebody comes with a real movie, then I'll audition for it. I was just I don't want to do these little free movie things if nobody is going to put.
Well, nobody gets to see it in the end.
If no one's going to put some post-production effort into it, because it was a lot of time.
Yeah,
it was a ton of time. Especially when you had to dub everything. I don't know how many weekends that was. 7 or 8.
And you could have been watching Tombs of the Blind Dracula.
Well, I could have been doing anything.
Yeah.
Do you think it was just like classic filmmaker impatience? Knows he's going to LA, wants to have something to brag about, and just didn't. That was the reason why the movie was made. It wasn't made because, hey, the High Society is great. Oh, hey, second part of this is that I'll take it with me to LA.
I think at the time they wanted to make something. They really were hoping it turned out. I think at the end of it, he realized that the script wasn't that funny.
Mm-hmm.
It has funny, and they were just like, well, since it really didn't cost them a whole lot, they didn't have investors or anything. There was nobody, it's not. And I used to, use Evil Dead as an example whenever I tell the story. Is like, when Bruce Campbell and those guys went out, they had investors that were expecting some sort of return on their investment.
Yes.
So even though Evil Dead is a mess, even though I love it, it's a mess. They're not like, well, we're kind of embarrassed. It's a lot sloppier than we thought. We're just not going to put it out, and
Well,
you know what? Have that option.
You know
they
what?
Owed a lot of money.
Yeah, their short film Within the Woods, that's never seen like the light of day. What's on YouTube is like a bootleg that somebody stole from someone else who stole a bootleg.
But so High Society, it was.
Yeah. I mean, it was what it was, and it's too bad that never came out.
And I'm still friendly with several of the people that worked on the film, still to this day. So
High Society 2 might be in the cards.
You never know. I have no ill will toward the director. He's out in LA, and he's an editor and does a lot of music video stuff. And he was a nice guy. I just felt like, how can you? At that point, maybe it was my inexperience. I was like, how can you as a director just be okay with like, well, I don't want it to come out, so fuck everybody that worked on it. The work's also not going to be seen. Having that responsibility and the power to do that, I'm like, how can you be okay with that? You may not have, it's more than just you. Everybody that worked. I mean, there was probably 50 or 60 people on camera at some point.
I mean, everybody's just working on for free.
And we all, I was very disappointed with that situation. But then that led to the next summer. Chris Schrader, who directed Batman Black and White, called me and said, hey, I wrote a part for you in the short film I'm going to make. It's not going to be like Batman. It's all in one set. It's going to be in my apartment. It won't be, it's be one weekend. I'd love for you to do it. Called The Surprise Party. Did you watch that one, Joe?
I did. I watched it.
So, initially when he wrote the film, he wrote me to be the non-killer. There's the movies.
Okay. You would be the cheater.
The cheater. And I read it and I was like, because that part had more jokes in it at one point. And I was like, I'd rather play the psycho, because it was something I hadn't done before. I had just done a goofy, I was like, I want to play this serious, this guy that loses his mind is a fucking psycho. That to me would be more fun. So he's like, hell yeah. And so we shot this short film over a weekend. I think I was on it for 2 days. and it's one I'm pretty proud of. The concept is there's a girl, and she's living with a boyfriend, and their relationship is very strained, and she still loves him, and she's going to throw a surprise party for him. But in the meantime, she's recently slept with his best friend. And so she's dealing with these things, and the best friend's going to be at the party. And when the boyfriend and the girlfriend come home, and they're right before the guys can come out and say surprise for the surprise party, they get into an argument, and he kills her. He stabs her to death in a rage. And so the rest of the movie is this group of people. They don't know he's in they don't know, he doesn't know they're there. So these 5 or 6 people, his friends, just witnessed their friend's murder at their other friend's hands, and now they're locked in this apartment and they want to figure out how to sneak out without my character knowing about it, as I dismember the corpse of the
over in the bathtub.
And and most of the people that worked on the movie had also worked on Batman, so I knew a lot of them. And I knew Chris real well and his wife, and so it was a very relaxed atmosphere. But when I showed up on the day to shoot the movie, they had already shot a bunch of scenes with an actress that their camera, the lens had a crack in it. And so they ended up having to scrap the movie for like 6 months. So I ended up not shooting anything initially. And then when it was time to shoot again, they couldn't get that actress back. She had moved or something. So they had to reshoot all the stuff they had already previously shot with a new actress. And so when I came in, I was already coming into this project that was stressed. Everyone was stressed out because it was their second attempt.
Oh yeah, 6 months later, yeah.
So I came in fresh, and right off the bat, my character very quickly, I'm screaming at this girl in the movie. I'm screaming at her, and he told me to improvise. So I'm yelling every terrible thing I could think of at this girl. I'm in her face, and I've never met this actress before. So it went from like shaking hands and saying, "Hey, nice to meet you," to now
hey, craft service is good.
It was just an awkward thing, because in theater you get to know people with rehearsals and stuff. But in this case, you show up, and this was my first experience of just showing up on the day. Here's the actor you've never met before, because we even had rehearsals on High Society. But it was like, here we go. And it was a very intense scene. The first scene is like, you're grabbing this girl and throwing her against a wall and stabbing her and yelling at her. And every time we would do a take, when we would cut, we would all laugh because we were in an apartment building, and we'd already told the other people in the apartment that we're shooting a movie. So if you hear screaming and everything, it's because of a movie. But nevertheless, Chris was always like, after every one of these violent takes, let's all laugh and clap, and it'd be like, hey, it's all fake, it's a movie, everybody. And
yeah, people are just banging like their feet down, like, keep it down there, I'm trying to sleep.
So yeah, I
gotta feed my cats in the morning.
They had 2 cats, and one of the takes and one of the bloopers, the cat ruined the take. It's all this intense moment, and then you see the cat just walk into frame.
Yeah,
like, oh.
You just see the cat's tail, and he accidentally brushes against your whiskers.
But that was something with Chris's movies. Always they got cats, and there's always some sort of instance where a cat ruins the take. It's kind of part of it now. I get upset if it doesn't happen. But the experience was good though, and I liked the movie. I think the movie turned out. It's one of my favorite things that I've been in and that I did. And it's fun to show people that have just met me or only know me from more comedy, to show them this movie where it's like, holy shit, you're a stone cold psycho on this thing. And I think that was
a regular Patrick Bateman.
I think when I first talked to Tyler and emailed him, I think I sent him to prove, like, hey, I've done some acting. I'm not just some dude saying, hey, put me in your thing. I was like, here's an example of. I sent them the link to Surprise Party, I believe.
You did.
So
I thought like the first half of it was like a little bit rough, but then basically as soon as you come in and kill her, it gets really tense and interesting.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that.
That's a Buckley answer.
Yeah. Because because it's like a lot of like the main characters are kind of just like jerks or like dickwads, so you don't really care about them in the first half.
I think there's one character that he's supposed to be. He does a lot of dumb jokes, and he is. But I wouldn't say. I don't think most of the characters are.
Yeah. Well, that drunk lady too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she's kind of obnoxious, but
yeah.
But yeah, that was.
No, I enjoyed it.
Well, good, and I really liked the movie. I think I'm pretty proud of that one. I like it because it catches people by surprise. You don't think what's going to happen is going to happen, but when freak out and start stabbing this woman. You're like, what fucking kind of movie is this? This is a different movie than I expected. And then when
I expected everyone to jump out and say boo.
Well, because it's building this tension of there's going to be a confrontation, that they're going to have an argument because, he's going to find out that his best friend just slept with his girlfriend here at the party. This is going to be awkward. And then, well, it gets awkward, but it's a total different kind of awkwardness. And, I thought the concept initially when he said it, it was cool. It's like the idea of this, this group of people just saw a murder, of one friend to murder another friend. And now they're stuck in this position. And that's one of the critiques that people did online, because there's some reviews online. Where the fact that, why were there was like 6 or 7 people, they could have just rushed this guy, and gotten out.
Yeah.
But, the psychology of it, you don't normally see your friends.
Yeah, I mean, most people don't want to move at all.
Yeah, and one person, the one woman is pregnant, So, and this guy's obviously lost his mind because he's now dismembering his girlfriend in the bathtub. So this fucking guy it was more than a crime of passion. He's completely... is just a whole other level. So,
well, Joe said, he called me after he watched it and he said, I really liked it, but I wish it had more party than the surprise.
Yeah. I mean, I would have liked a little bit more Doritos, if you catch my drift, and a bit less boo.
I don't know what the fuck you mean.
Yeah.
More Booberry?
Oh, Booberry. Oh, I love Booberry. That ghost, he's my waifu. He's my wife.
Yeah.
I kiss him every night before I go to bed.
So,
and they say, I'll let you make blueberry in my mouth.
The surprise party was the last acting in let me think. I think that was the last acting in a film I did until, because then I moved back to Illinois Valley and I was doing a lot of plays. But I think that's the last film thing I did until Grace's Room. I'm pretty sure. Okay.
Bum, bum, bum.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, because then it was a couple of years afterwards and then Grace's Room. So, and I've done more since, much more since then, and it's been a good time.
Yeah.
Hopefully more in the future.
Yeah,
hoping, hell yeah.
And I don't know. It's like we said earlier in the episode. There was still an excitement and a luster about working on indie films at that time, even to 2010. Because again, not as many people were making them, and now it's like everywhere I turn, there's people making movies around every corner, which is great and it's cool because people are getting to do what they want to do. But
a lot of interesting stuff is coming out.
People are also don't give a shit as much as they used to. Like it used to be like, hey, I made a movie, you want to watch it? People are like, fuck yeah, movie, you're in, awesome. Now it's like, oh, you made a movie, my cousin made a movie, my grandma made a movie, this guy, everybody's making stuff. So again, people are not as quick to give you, pay attention to the shit you do.
Oh, my nephew made a movie as well. He does the Minecraft Let's Play on YouTube.
So I just finished, shot one day on a project here for a local filmmaker. And my girlfriend's doing effects for the movie because that's what she does. She does makeup effects. That's how we...
Yeah. I've seen some good, bloody hand stuff she puts on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, she's making a puppet right now for a segment.
Ooh.
She's frustrated by the whole thing.
Yeah.
I hear the phone calls and I laugh. But
no. The director keeps saying less puppet, more Muppet.
It's like I'm gonna not talk about it right now. Maybe down the road because there's plenty of jokes. But the scene I got to work. So initially, this project was one of these things where I was doing it kind of as a favor. There wasn't an audition or anything. It was the guy's making a movie, and it's an anthology film, and he has different segments. And he had contacted me and asked me if I would take a role in this one segment, and I declined because there were some things in the script that I thought were a little tone deaf. And stuff that I wasn't comfortable with. And I said, I don't really want to act in this. No offense.
Yeah.
It's kind of awkward to tell somebody that.
Not many people have the balls to do that.
It was just, I tried to be as diplomatic as I could. And I gave some suggestions. Here, write it this way. But then he's fine with it. He has since changed it. I mean, because I wasn't the only one, I believe, that had issues with some of the plot points. But then he came to me, he's like, okay, well, how about this segment? And I read it and I was like, yeah, this one's got some, okay, I'll do it. And it got postponed because of COVID and we were supposed to do it in April and everything got shut down. And so
that's been like a big nightmare for film.
It has been. And only now people are starting to make indie films again, but with all the protocols and we had all the protocols and we all had masks on when we weren't on camera and things
That's good.
If it was a pretty clean set, small crew, because one, we didn't need a big crew, and two, didn't want a lot of people on set. So, I worked 3.
No, it's a good thing there wasn't a Buckley hanging around licking the chicken dishes.
Well, initially, Joe, this was the segment they wanted you to do a bit in.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what happened to that, because I still think you would have been funny as hell. And I said as such I'll tell you this, I'm working on this movie, and only one person on this set other than me knows about Joe Buckley. And what ends up happening? We all end up talking about Joe Buckley.
Well,
I brought you up, and I brought the podcast up.
Well, thank you.
It turned into a Joe Buckley joke session for 20 minutes.
Okay.
And I was like, Joe? But
yeah. Nothing wrong with a little bit of Joe.
Yeah, so you find your way in
little bit.
You find your way into things all the time. You crawl.
That's good.
But it was a fun experience. I mean, it wasn't a lot of heavy lifting. I had a couple of lines, but it felt good to, to be on the set.
Stretch your acting wings again. Here, I've actually got a slasher film I can pitch to you.
What is it?
It's
a killer. Pitch to me on the other.
No. This is different.
Okay.
It's a killer, and he has a goat mask, right? It looks really scary, and he makes bang sounds whenever he kills people. And there's a chick who's jumping on the trampoline, and her bra falls completely.
Like the sound of weed.
Or a bang, like a goat.
A what?
No, like he makes goat sounds.
He's saying like bah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought he said bong sounds.
Oh yeah, I totally didn't understand anything he was saying.
Saying bong.
He likes to do that, yeah. And then
bong.
there's a
that movie with talking goats and bong kills people.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Joe Buckley's The Witch.
Do you like the taste of slushies? Mmm.
Yeah. Does thou want to be beautiful?
Does thou want nuggies?
Ooh, yeah. Hey, I don't like being in this woods. Where's all the salamanders and nuggets?
Salamanders.
I don't know. Those lizards, those cool lizards.
Those are sandals made of salamander skin.
They're amphibians, you piece of shit.
I don't know. I know they're water lizards.
Water lizards.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So,
I like to suck on the tails.
So it's a guy in a goat mask.
Yeah.
And he kills people, and he goes bah, every time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my completely original slasher idea.
Nah. Don't forget.
Never been done before.
On the New York Ripper, all right, every time that guy kills somebody, he talks like Donald Duck.
Yeah, but here's what makes it different. There's a lady on the trampoline, and she's jumping really hard, and your bra comes completely off.
Okay.
And you get to see the boobies.
Well, I mean, if you're trying to do like an 80s style thing, nudity was a big part of it.
Oh, yeah, but you get to see her boobies for like 25 minutes. She's just jumping up and down.
Is it a mystery slasher where we don't know who the killer is, or is it one where it's like more of a jig?
No, his name's Pete. His name's Pete, and he likes to kill people.
So we're familiar with, so we know the killer is Pete from the beginning of the movie.
Oh, yeah, and he likes to take the garbage out, and people who step on his garbage, he kills them.
So, Joe, what have you learned about Ryan today?
Well, I've learned that Ryan is a consummate actor. He's a pro. He's been trying to get himself out there, get himself into different films.
I think you're just using a bunch of buzzwords that mean nothing.
No, I'm not like Vice Media.
Anybody that's been in front of a camera, he's a consummate actor.
Why did you just mention Vice
out there?
I don't know. You said buzzwords.
Yeah, but what does Vice have to do with buzzwords?
I don't know. I assume they're a newspaper company. They use buzzwords.
No, Vice is a video.
Well, they write articles too.
Okay, sure, but are you mixing up BuzzFeed and Vice?
Well, I didn't want to say BuzzFeed because the buzz is in the name.
I don't even. But your joke didn't make sense. So
okay.
At least I would have understood it if it was the BuzzFeed.
Joe Buckley.
It's a website called Buzz, and it's just about bees.
Anyways, did you actually learn something about Ryan today?
I think so. He's.
No, you don't. It doesn't have to be like some soliloquy. Just like, what did you not know about him previously?
I didn't know you were in the surprise party. I had never seen that before.
Okay, well.
So I enjoyed that.
I could have swore I told you about it.
You could. I might not.
You
just,
have.
Yeah, it might just went in one ear out the other.
Know you because we're making a movie, and it's natural to say, well, if you've been in any other shit, and that would have been probably the main thing I would have talked about.
No, it might have just went out of one ear and like dripped down into my penis.
God damn you! It always comes back to your penis.
I need to talk about my penis.
My penis. I need to talk about my penis.
My penis.
Hey, Joe, all of a sudden on an episode of Hee Haw.
Ooh, hee-haw. I'm jumping on a horse and my penis is out.
God damn you, Joe Buckley.
Yeah.
Joe, okay. I want you to be in more stuff.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I just want you to be in more stuff. If I try to help you get in more stuff, because I know a couple of people that are going to be looking to cast projects for early next year, if I reached out to them to reach out to you, would you even talk to them?
No, I definitely would. Yeah.
Well, and again, Joe, I stand by my previous offers, that if you write something, I'll gladly help fund it.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, like I'm not a huge fan of Sit Boys just because there's a lot of humor I just don't connect with, but I have no issue with giving you and Tad money to make something that's, more professional and maybe, I like narratives.
Oh, sure.
So you give me a nice little short film about the two of you acting like dingalings.
Okay.
I'll give you money.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of something good. Yeah, maybe.
I'll watch it, Joe. You know what I want? I want to watch something similar to Sit Boys where I can just watch it and I'm not involved with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel sometimes that I am and you are so intertwined now.
We're like twins. We're like conjoined at the hip.
But like, I want you to make something, and I don't want to. I mean, I would crew on it. That's fine. I'd help you in that respect, but I don't want to be in it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I understand. I understand. You don't want your face involved.
I want to sit and watch as a fan, like I did with Sit Boys, which is why I was excited when Sit Boys. One of the reasons I was excited because I was seeing a joke production that I knew nothing about. So I got to watch it as a fan.
Oh yeah. And I mean, let me tell you, there's some weird stuff in there.
Joe, can I tell Ryan about your pants?
Oh, that's fine.
What's the pants? How stiff are they?
Joe, he's wearing normal jeans. No, they look like they were washed. But like a 50s greaser rolls up the sleeves on their white T-shirt.
Oh, hell yeah.
And hides their smokes in it. Well,
Yep.
the bottom of Joe's jeans are pulled up like a farm boy. Like rolled up, like one layer of roll, but probably about a solid 6 to 7 inches up. So,
I did not know how to fix it. I don't know. I don't know fashion.
Are the pants too long?
Yeah, they were too long. I was stepping on them.
Are you shrinking?
I think these are just new pants. I think I got new pants.
Sure? Are you sure you didn't grab your dad's pants?
I could have. I don't know.
Wait, no. Joe's dad is like a foot and a half shorter than him.
Yeah, I'm tall.
Oh, I guess I don't even realize that.
Unless your dad just has a huge dick.
Yeah, he does. He needs extra dick room in the pants, and he rolls them up.
Well, you heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
Joe has penis envy of his own father.
Well, I can appreciate a large member on a member of my family. What's wrong with that?
I can appreciate a large member on a member of my family.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, real quick. There's a question I've been wanting to ask you.
Okay.
Since last episode. Murder, fuck, kill. Tyler, Tad, or your Magic the Gathering card collection?
You motherfucker.
Oh, let's see. I think I'm going to fuck my Magic card collection. I'm just going to make a nice pussy hole in the sleeves and start
just
fucking
kill me, Joe.
Yeah, okay. I'll marry Tad and then I'll kill Tyler.
Thank you.
It was a mercy killing for Tyler. Actually, made out well on that one.
He did.
You're probably consummating the marriage, and then obviously one is fucked. So the only way you're getting out of not being intertwined with Joe Buckley in a biblical sort of way is by death.
I don't know. Maybe I killed Tyler in the room alone.
No. You know what? If you're gonna kill me, I want you to burn me because I want there to be nothing left, not a cavity for you to fuck. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I know you. You'll find a hole in something.
Oh no! I have like a nice skull hole, like the eye socket.
Oh,
God.
Yeah.
How did it?
No, you guys mentioned that as well.
Well, it's partly my fault, but you got to go into talking about carving holes.
Yeah, you took it like you made it real. We talked about it abstract enough that we didn't have to picture it, but then you go for the eye holes.
Okay, well, I just wanted to inform the people of what different
actually,
parts
you want
of
to
the
know
body.
what it is? Bringing it back to the show. Joe knows he'll never touch his own brain, so he wants to get in somebody else's.
Yeah,
because you ain't got one.
Yeah, no, I am the man. I have a brain, and this has been the episode. Thank you very much, people. Hey, if you like our content, you can check it out on Malevolent Movies.
Before we leave,
okay,
I want you in the sexiest voice you can come up with.
Yeah.
I'm talking sex worker. I'm talking you're trying to seduce somebody over the phone.
Yeah.
I want you to use the sexiest voice you can muster to say, my pee-pee hurts.
Hey, good looking. My pee-pee hurts. Oh, yeah.
I think you could have built up to it a little bit more. Let's do another take on that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hi, Big Daddy. Yeah, I can see you. Can you see me? Oh, yeah, my pee-pee hurts. It hurts so good.
I feel sick. I legitimately feel sick to my stomach.
I understand.
I don't know why, but yeah, it's my fault. Thanks, Joe, though.
Yeah, no, you're welcome.
Yep, bye.
Yeah.
As good as always.